Welcome to another update from Bayer Mid-South Agronomy. This is Greg Ferguson. Today I'm going to go through some of the reasons that we recommend planting different populations for different corn products. There are a lot of reasons around that, and we do a lot of testing, and we've done a lot of testing over the years to figure out what we ought to do with each different genetics. So follow along and see what you think.
Hello, this is Greg Ferguson, Bayer agronomist. I'm here in one of our Dekalb corn population trials. Internally we call these Gen 5 trials because it happens to be the 5th generation planter that we use to plant these. What we do in these trials is we evaluate our different corn products and see how they respond to different populations. Now we plant these as low as 20,000 and as high as 52,000 plants per acre. That's certainly not something that we recommend doing, but we do that to help categorize these corn varieties. We have a demonstration in the front of the plot here that I can actually pull ears out of. We don't take this demonstration to yield, but it's a place that I can pull ears and show how these things respond to population visually. So what I've got here beside me is one of our most popular hybrids, our Dekalb DKC7027. I've got 3 populations, 24,000, 36,000, and 48,000 plants per acre. One of the ways that we like to categorize these products is whether they're fixed or flex ear. Now that honestly is not probably the best way to say that. Really what we ought to say is they're very population responsive or they're not very population responsive. Because every one of these products will have a significant flex in ear size at a certain population. Now that may be very low, but it will have that at a certain population range. Generally what we recommend are populations here in the Delta from the mid to upper 30s. That depends. Your population should be based on basically what your conditions and expected harvest are. In most cases, the trials that we run are run on grower farms with grower fertility, grower herbicides, so all in all, they're not at high nitrogen rates or high fertility rates. Pretty much normal rates depending on where they're done. But you can see here beside me on 7027, at 48,000, the ears are a little smaller than what you see at 36 and 24,000 on average. We do have a smaller ear here in the 36,000, but sometimes that happens. In many cases, you'll see these ears flex in a number of different ways. Sometimes you'll see them create more rows in the lower population, rows around. You'll see them create a longer ear, and we see that a little bit here. They average about the same number of rows. There may be a couple of more rows in the lowest population than the highest population, but these here seem to be flexing a little bit more in length. Other things are that we can see ear flex in kernel depth and really other ways as well. So I'm going to go through and explain a few things to you and show you some yield data on these to explain how these perform based on population.
So you've seen the demo of ear size from 7027. This is the results of 2 studies that we had out in 2020 in Louisiana and Mississippi when it was planted from 24 to 50,000 plants per acre. We consider 7027 a fairly fixed, or again, a better representation would be very responsive to higher populations. You can see that once you get to about 32,000, you see a steady increase in yield based on adding more seeds per acre up to about 50,000 plants per acre. There's a little blip at 44,000, but you can see consecutive increases at 32 to 36 to 40,000. This is one that we recommend planting about 36 to 38,000 in the Delta, especially in irrigated conditions. And it responds very favorably to that versus planting at lower populations, and certainly down around 30,000 where you can see you would really give up a good bit of yield. The total yield range here is about 215 bushels up to about 275 bushels. And you can see what kind of initial jump you get in yield just going from the mid-20s up into the low 30s. That's really a critical population jump to get up into the 30s. Now here's a graph that represents another one of our very popular products, our Dekalb 6869. You see here that you get that initial jump in yield from going from 24,000 to 32,000, just like we did in 7027. However, when you look at going from 32,000 to 50,000, you really don't see much change in yield. You don't see a lot of additional yield gained by adding more seed per acre. We generally recommend planting 68, 69, around 32,000, maybe to 34,000 plants per acre, and get very good yield out of that. We consider that 68, 69 has got a fairly flex or semi-flex ear, or which would be a better representation, it isn't very responsive to higher populations. That's one of the reasons that this has been such a popular hybrid in the hills of Mississippi. Again, ranges from a little, just a little over 210, 215 bushels per acre up above 260 bushels per acre. Really good high yields. These plots are done on farm with grower fertility, grower herbicide programs, and all of that. The only thing we do is plant and harvest these. So those were just a couple of examples of the dozens of products that we test every year for their response to population. You can see here, this is a very large study with dozens of corn products planted at all those various populations from 24 to 50,000 plants per acre. You can see how extensive this is, and we do this every year and have done it every year since 2014.
Now that I've gone through that, I really hope you've got a better understanding of why we recommend different populations for different varieties. That's something that will, I'm certainly continue in the future. It certainly has so far. But what I would suggest is certainly contact your local Bayer agronomist or your local Bayer sales rep to find actually for your area what the best population is for the best corn.